Yo, what is good? Last day of 17. We're doing it. Next year, tomorrow, we're doing it. Had a great year. I don't even know where certain things started or things I had goals or whatever I had. So it's kind of hard to figure out what goals I achieved this year that were started at the beginning of the year. All I know is I had a very progressive year. I progressed a lot. Got a lot better in a lot of different ways and things like that. I look forward to just keep doing that. I'm excited for the new year just because it always feels like a fresh start, even though it's kind of just taking on. I'm kind of also glad to be done with the holidays just because it's a lot of stress involved, a lot of planning, and now I can kind of focus on getting back in a good rhythm and getting things done. I don't have to think too much. I love the holidays, but at the same time, it's nice that they're over too, because I always want to make sure they go well, and it's just a lot to think about, a lot of extra stuff. So I like the new year. I'm excited for 2018. I have a lot of things in the works now. I don't really remember what I was thinking last year now that I think about it. I don't remember if I was thinking the same, but I do know this year it's I feel like I have a lot of things that I want to make happen and a lot of more direction. I have kind of not a plan. I don't really have a detailed plan, but I kind of have some future things that I'm looking forward to trying to make happen. Just growing all my this podcast and growing my YouTube and making more videos that I really enjoy doing. I just kind of found things I really enjoy doing, and I kind of have a place I want to be at in my life that I can work towards, which is nice. So I hope you're doing the same thing. I uploaded that Impact the World video. That was a lot of fun to make. Kind of really got away from me a little bit with the dunking. I kind of started off the idea with just a hype motivational video, but then it got dunk heavy. But I hope it got the right point across, which was whatever you're passionate about, do it. And it's more than just passion. I kind of wanted to make a video more about focusing on just being what you want to be, even if it's not an actual activity or a thought process. What am I saying? Not even a thing that you could do. I just wanted you to constantly make progress in whatever you want to do and make the best life for yourself. So that's kind of the point of the video. Anyway, I got amazing feedback, and I really want to say thanks to everybody who commented and shared it. It was really great. So I really look forward to making more of those. As soon as I posted it and watched it, it's a million things I want to do better, and I'm definitely getting better at making videos, I think, and I see a lot of improvements and things I can improve on, and that's always helpful when you make something that you can just keep improving on it. And it's a lot of fun. I really hope to make a lot more like that in the future. It's tons of fun. I also wanted to do kind of a more update podcast and kind of just dunk life style, just because I had so many details about where I'm at right now that I wanted to share that I thought were really helpful. And one of the few things is patience. And I know you guys know about patience, and it takes a long time to increase your vertical, but it's more than just waiting for the results to show. And more the way I think of patience too is a lot of times there's minor setbacks or bad days, and you kind of have to take a step backwards. And I know that sounds cliche too, but you really have to break it down to find the root of the problem. And this goes for everything in any type of problem you're trying to deal with. Is it's much better to go to the root of the problem, but it sucks to do it because a lot of times you feel like you can just power through it and do it. And I'll give you some examples. But for me, for an example, is I just started dribble dunking really well Christmas Eve. So that was a week ago, I think. And that was my first days. I felt insanely good off the dribble. And even that same session, later in the session, my knee started to feel weak and I had to cut it short. And since then, I haven't been able to really jump 100%, just because when I run and when I plant, I kind of feel a weird, strange feeling in my knee. So it causes me to hesitate. And if you try to ever jump or do anything physical activity, or even speaking or anything mental too, if you have any type of hesitation because of some kind of injury or something, it's not gonna go well. And for me, technique has been huge in my progress. And since my technique has never been that great, my form hasn't been perfect, if something like a knee pain or a weird feeling is I'm having that feeling in my knee, when I go to plant, I'm gonna hesitate and not plant fully on it, and then I'm gonna overcompensate and push too much on my left, and it's gonna cause more problems. So I'm kind of been taking it easy, trying to push it, trying to see if I can do a max jump, and I have some here and there, but then off the dribble's even worse. So I haven't been able to like continue my dribble dunk progression. So I'm kind of having to go back and just really strengthen my knee, and just I know I might lose some bounce off my dribble dunks or lose some technique just because I can't practice it right now. I literally can't practice the movement because it might make it worse that I'm hesitating because of the weird knee feeling. So I have to go back, strengthen my knee, take time off a little bit, and then wait till I get that feeling away so I can kind of start to build back on it and build some confidence and go hard again. But it's just really difficult, and it just reminds me of all the other times, and like I know other people struggle with injuries or different problems. But to go even deeper into my technique of my dribble dunks, it took a long time to feel comfortable dunking off the dribble for me. And it's because I built like bad habits, and because my technique was just bad. And what I mean by that is when I went for like an off the dribble dunk, I would jump and I would not feel nearly as explosive and as I would off the lob. And it's much easier said than done to just jump like I did off the lob, because when I would do it, it was a different mindset. Like I'm not going for a ball. I'm thinking a lot about my plants, and you don't notice things that you're doing wrong, and you really have to analyze and break down every part of your form. And that's why I was able to overcome it, but it took me a long time. So I wanted to kind of get into all the little details about it, because that's what this whole thing was about. I wanted to talk about how details are important, and patience and technique. And so the best way I could do that is just give you an exact example of what I had to do. So basically for my dribble dunks, my left-right was okay, but I'm just going to talk about right-left now, because my left-right was okay, but my form was so bad, like my knee would turn outwards, I never was solid, and I switched to right-left off the lob, and it was way better, and I could jump higher, but my off the dribble was always terrible. And a lot of times I would go off the dribble sometimes, especially when I was trying to dunk over somebody, I would have a good jump, and I didn't really know why, or I did know why, but I couldn't replicate it. And a lot of it was, and I knew the difference between my off the lob, like when I would analyze myself, I really had to jump and do it and really try to analyze like what I'm thinking before and after I take off. And that helped me get to the answer of what was wrong with my dribble dunks. And it was very, very small problems, and I had to work on each one, and it was very frustrating because it was like so minor and it seemed like such a simple thing, but it just was very hard to get my feet to take off in my body, and what I'm thinking. And what you're thinking really means a lot, because if you're trying to, for example, take off from further, and you're saying this is like, you might jump too forward, but if you feel like it's the right spot, you may jump the correct way and jump up, things like that. And when I jump off the lob, sometimes I jump from further than I do off the dribble, but I didn't even feel like I would. I just thought of jumping and going get the ball, and I would jump the right angle and jump up. But off the dribble, when I would watch the video, I would see that I'm jumping super close to the rim, so I would try to jump from further. But since I had the ball in my hand, and since I'm just not comfortable with it, I would feel the need to jump a little forward because I'm like jumping from further. But I needed to just more focus on jumping up, just like I was doing from closer to the rim and things like that. And it took a lot of practice to try to jump correctly from the right distance. And distance was one thing. And then the main one was I didn't feel that quick pop that I did off the lob. Like when I had a lob or I did the self-bounce thing, I would run, and I'm a right-left, so I would push off my left like into my big penultimate step, and then plant on my right foot, then my left foot, and pop up. And I never felt that like boom, boom, like super quick and pop right up off the dribble. So then that's another thing I tried. I tried to focus on off the dribble, like make those last two steps, my plant super quick, and just take off as fast. And some jumps I had that, and I was able to do that off like a drop step and get pretty close. But then when I would try to, this was over like a long periods of time too. So then off the drop step, I would feel that pop. But then when I would try to do a run up, that pop would break down, and I would try to pop, but then I'd be like leaning sideways or twist, and it felt very strange. And then another detail that I realized was stepping into my penultimate. So I push off my left into my right foot right before I plant. And that left foot, when I push down off my lob, I don't think about it, but I would push off hard into my plant. So I'm running, and then I push off into that penultimate step. But when I was off the dribble, I was kind of just running into my plant. I wasn't like pushing off my left foot before my penultimate. I wasn't really like using that. So I think that translation step was much lacking, and I would feel that sometimes, like, if I did it right, I would feel a real jump. So then I had to practice all those things together, and I was able. And then another thing I noticed was sometimes if I dribbled with my left or right hand, I would get a better jump. And then one of the final things that really helped me break through is if I did the little crossover and from my left to my right as I was about to take my penultimate, like right before I took off, I got the best jump I could. It was kind of like the best spot the ball could be in for my arm swing to be used and my body to get the right penultimate and takeoff and jump fully with the ball. I hope I described all the details correctly, and I know it's hard without a visual, but basically there were so many details that were just very different that I don't have to think about off the lob, just because the lob, I have very good form naturally, just because I've practiced that from the very start. And even I think the lob came naturally because even before I was dunking, all I was doing was jumping and touching the rim. And it's easy to just jump your hardest. I mean, it's not easy like effort-wise, but technique-wise, when you're just literally reaching for something out of your reach, you just run and jump your very hardest. But when you have like the ball in your hand, and when you do that over and over and over again, all you do is throw a ball and then time it, you're doing the same thing. So I've done that so many more times, but off the dribble, I didn't really start with that, and I should have done it on lower rims when I was practicing before I could actually dunk, just so I keep the technique. But with the dribble, it was hard to just do all those different things, like arm swing, penultimate, like the right placement, the right takeoff, the right distance. It was hard to do all those things for me off the dribble. All these things are for me, and you might be a lot different off the dribble, maybe easier, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the point of my story is that I was so bad at it, and it was such an easier thing to do than like time a ball in the air and things like that, but I just had many bad habits, or I didn't have naturally good technique off the dribble, and I had to really break it down. So like I would try in a dunk off the dribble, and I'd watch it, and I'd also analyze how I felt. So a lot of times I would jump and I'd be landing on one foot, like my left foot, like I'm leaning, like I kind of jumped and I was like reaching the weird way, and I'm like, why am I doing that? So then I realized, okay, maybe I'm like not planting off my right foot as much. Like, let me see what I do off a little same type of dunk, but off a lob, and I feel the same feeling. And I feel, man, my feet feel more equal. I feel like I'm pushing more off my right. So then I try to push off my right. And then when I do that, I feel like a lot of pressure in my knee. And I'm like, why does that pressure feel like so much off the dribble and I don't feel it off the lob? I'm like, oh, maybe. And then I realize, and I'm like reaching a little backwards, or like, the angle might have been, like, what could cause that knee pain, basically? And I'm thinking, and then I watched the video, I'm like, man, I'm pretty close. Like, maybe I'm trying to jump, I'm jumping, like, the right plants now. Like, I have both feet planting equally off the dribble, but I'm too close to the rim, so I'm trying to, like, almost lean backwards instead of just go up and reach the rim at my peak. So then I kind of move it, and then when I move it, I feel like I'm twisting, and just things like that link up. I was analyzing every detail, how I felt, and luckily I had a good baseline of what a good jump should feel like doing the same dunk. But if you can't dunk like that off a lob, just watch other dunkers and watch maybe someone who looks similar to you, especially the same plant, and just see the difference. Like, if you see elite dunkers, they probably have very similar takeoffs and movements, like when their arms swing, when they take off, how big their penultimate is, where they do their penultimate, how they look when they take off, where their trajectory is when they take off, and where they're dunking it. All those things matter. And if you're not able to make progress or something, there's probably a million factors it could be, but there's definitely factors you can work on. And for me, I had to work on a lot of details for my dribble dunks, and they're now feeling great. And it's just all those things coming together. But a lot of times I would have one aspect working well, and then another one would fall off. So I had to keep going back and forth, and it feels like it's never ending. And like even the videos, you see like no progression, but I could feel a difference in my takeoff. Like, for example, if I take off terribly but still dunk it, but like months later I take off way better feeling for me and still dunk it. You may not see the difference, but I feel a difference in my jumping. Like, it might have been the very good jumping day the first time, and I have terrible technique, but I'm still able to dunk it. And then another day, I feel like I'm barely using any effort and able to dunk it. So there's just so much that goes into it that you can't see, that you have to analyze about yourself. And for me now, the dribble dunks are great. Like, I feel like I'm getting a full jump, and that's the major key. But yeah, the full jump is what I was going for, and that's what I was missing. Is like, whenever I would go off the dribble, it was very rare that I felt I was getting a full jump where I was maximizing my approach, translating the speed, taking off at the optimal spot, and just bouncing. Because a lot of times I would jump and I'd feel like I'm reaching for the rim and I know I can get a lot higher, or I put a lot of effort in but I didn't even get even close, or I landed strange, I landed awkward, I landed sideways, or my knee felt strange, or just so many different things that didn't feel like a weird jump. And I'm sure you've had some of those weird jumps, like sometimes you just like take off, you try to do a new technique dunk, like a new trick, and then you take off strange because you're trying too hard to do that. So that's kind of my dribble dunk. I hope I got all the details out, but the point is, there was a lot of details and I had to really work backwards. So, for example, there's other ways to do just working on your technique. Like, for example, on the dribble dunks, sometimes I would feel the pop off the drop step, but not on the approach, right? So I would just do the drop steps a lot to build my confidence, because if I was, say, drop stepping and getting the ball to the rim, when you have the confidence, you know that, for example, if you get something that's a success, just try to rep it out and build confidence in that, because if you're able to mentally feel like you can do it, then when you try to increase the strength or the effort you use doing that movement, you'll be able to build on it. But if you don't have that confidence, it's going to be hard to push and go harder. That's kind of like circling back. That kind of brought it full circle, is what I was trying to say. With the knee injury I'm having now, it's keeping me hesitant to jump off of it because I'm afraid it might hurt my knee, so I can't get full jump. So I have to go back, fix my knee, get it feeling strong so I could push on it. But also, just technique-wise, with no pain or injury, if you feel like, for me, my dribble dunks, a lot of times when I went to try hard, my form would feel weird and I would get a bad jump. So it was hard for me to just go harder and increase and jump better off the dribble. But if I was able to make a small success, like, for example, a very slow approach, drop step, and get close to the rim, if I did that a bunch, then maybe add one more step or go to a lower rim and just rep it out, then I'm like, man, I can get this drop step. Maybe if I just add an approach and just focus on the drop step, I can do like a little walk up and then do the drop step and then gradually do that, and then that feels good. And sometimes that would help. I would do that, but then my full approach still felt bad. So then I was just working on the drop step, and just slowly, gradually increasing. And I was thinking, why is this drop step feel better and why is my full approach? And that's kind of how I got to the penultimate thing. I was like, maybe it's like my step that's translating from the full approach into the drop step. It's not feeling right. Like something's breaking down there. And then I break that down and see all the different factors that could be. It could be the penultimate distance, the takeoff. That's what I was talking about. So, try to break your form down all the way down to the friggin' root of everything. And that's the way you can make real success and real progress, is the word I was looking for. But it took a while for me to do that, because it just was very frustrating too. And it took a while just because I had to like kind of relearn it and kind of get my body at a spot where all the details felt good. Like I knew I wasn't going to hurt my knee because my form was bad, so I had to go all the way back and strengthen my legs. I got stronger with like my hand speed, so I feel like that helped with the ball in my hand. I just did drop steps and made sure my form was perfect, so that way I knew if I got the right approach, I got to the part of the takeoff, my takeoff was perfect. So I say start with the takeoff because I feel like that's the foundation is like your actual takeoff. And then start with like a drop step, like just a takeoff. I mean, just like step into it and do like 1, 2 and take, not like 1, 2 steps, then your takeoff. Like your takeoff is the 1, 2 where you plant 2 feet. And then try to like do a big drop step where you're pushing off the, you're doing like a walk up and you push off the penultimate and you're taking off. And like that for me felt weird. Like I didn't feel like I was going straight up, but like off without the ball, I could like easily grab the rim with 2 hands. And I'm like, why am I feeling so much more explosive? I should be able to do that with the ball. Even if I get lower, I should still feel like a higher jump. I shouldn't feel like I'm jumping left or I'm landing like sideways or lopsided. I should still feel a full jump. So I did that a bunch, and then I slowly just added the run up in and kept those things in mind, because the run up, a lot of times I would feel slow, like I would run up and try to take off, but I wasn't having that same pop feeling. All those things. I've said everything a million times, but details, you need to work backwards, and the footwork and the technique is huge. At least it is for me. And if you're not having success or you can't make progress, you have to first maximize your chances by making your technique as good as it can be, because your body is like it's kind of like a machine, but that's not a good analogy. But the point is if you watch all jumpers, they have similar takeoffs, especially 2 feet, so they all have like the long penultimate, and they plant hard and they're exploding. So if you're watching yourself and you look slower than most people, or you don't look as powerful, because there's different styles of jumpers, right? Some people have like a slow approach and they're powerful takeoff, and some people have like a faster one and like just a poppier, quicker one. But there's a lot of things that are similar. Even if they're slow approach or fast approach or springier or more powerful, they all have the long penultimate, and they all have a super quick plant where they go 1, 2 and they take off and they stay upright. Some people maybe bend down a little bit more, but they're all getting into their plant the same. And some people are better off the dribble. That might just be like they have better arm strength or whatever, but most people are pretty there's not many people that jump higher off the dribble, I don't think, than off the lob. But there might be some people that are better just because it's like easier to control and less timing, and they maybe just practiced it more. But I just don't know how many people are much better off the dribble height-wise, just like getting higher. I think if their highest jump, they might want to go without the ball. But I mean, some people just practice off the dribble a lot more, so they're a lot better at it. But I feel like your dribble and your lob dunk should be pretty similar. Like if you're able to do like a certain level off the lob, you should be a close level with your off the dribble or whatever it is. Like if you can, like for me, there was too much of a disparity, and now it's catching up because my technique is getting better. So like I can fly off the lob, like get like my head to the backboard, and now on a good day, like when I'm feeling really good, I really think I could like windmill off the dribble, which is like kind of like the level right under that. So like East Bay off the lob, but windmill off the dribble, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's feeling really good. But all of that takes patience as well. It's very hard to go do that. Like for today, my knee was kind of shaky and weird, and I was trying to dunk, and I wanted to like dribble dunk on 10-2, but I back rimmed one, but then like one of my jumps felt a little strange, so I really had to just go rehab my knee. So I'm going to rehab my knee, wait till it feels strong, do whatever I can to get it feel strong. And like it's hard because I feel like I'll lose some technique and I'll lose some aggression, which I already did because of my knee. And I have to build that back up while like getting out of my groove, because my groove was really good. I was getting stronger, then doing light lifts, then jumping. And now I don't want to go get stronger now because I don't know if I'll be able to do the jumping day, which translates that explosive movements correctly. So I don't want to like throw my body off and get like too strong and not use the muscles correctly. Like that was like a formula for when I'm healthy. Now I need a totally different formula, which is rehab, get comfortable jumping, and just my pure focus right now is to get back to comfortably jumping 100%, because I'm not there anymore because of my knee. So my focus. So you can't use the same, that's another thing, you can't use the same formula you were using when you're healthy. So my formula now is rehab my knee, get it strong, get it confident so I can jump 100%, and then once I have a good 100% jumping day, get back into the full health formula, because I can't just do the same workouts I've been doing when I'm fully healthy, because it may not work for right now, and then I can't jump, and then I might it may work a different way. If I'm trying to do the same workout routine without healthy jumping, that strength training, that explosive lifting may not translate as well. I don't know if it could hurt me that much, but all I'm just saying is, I guess it can't hurt that much, but I just don't want to feel sluggish and get strong and not use my body as much. And because I've had those feelings where I'm powerful but I lose my athleticism. So since I can't jump, which keeps me athletic, and do the full plyometrics and things like that, and my knee is a little hesitant, if I get a little too much strength, not that I'm going to get that much stronger, but if I lift too heavy too often without being so healthy, I might get into that area I was in before where I felt like a little sluggish and a little bit less athletic, and it may even hurt my jumping as more. Basically, since I can't jump 100, the jumping 100% was very important when I lift heavy, because it keeps me athletic and it keeps my jumping on point, even though my body's kind of getting stronger and going in the strength direction. And that happens even when I was jumping healthy. That was happening because I wasn't really jumping enough, or I wasn't really doing the translation lifts of the lifting light. But now, since I can't jump 100% at all, if I do that, I feel like there's a good chance that'll happen where I lose some of my athleticism, or I'll lose some of my technique. So my technique is like number one, like I was saying. So that whole long of whatever the hell, trying to figure it out, my brain working, was the point is the technique is number one, because I feel like it's the foundation, and I want to work on my knee getting stronger so I can keep my technique perfect. And then I'll go back to the strength training and increase progression type of thing. So right now it's back to technique work, get my confidence back so I can jump, and keep my form perfect, because when I don't do this, that's what I've done in the past, is I try to just jump higher, and all I'm doing is focusing on jumping higher without the ball, just making sure my vert's increasing, and it was working, but then I couldn't dunk. It was like whenever I would try to do a trick or off the dribble, it was like form was breaking down because I didn't have the practice and I didn't have the technique down, and it just led to more frustration. So I'm going to focus on technique now, get my confidence back, and be able to jump and stay active and stay on point. I want to be agile. I want to jump from different angles. That day before my knee hurt, I dunked off the dribble super easily. I did a reverse dunk at the very end off a shaky knee, first try. I'm bad at reverses, so I got it first try, super easy. So that was a good sign that my technique was on point. So that's it. Get my technique back, get the confidence in my knee back so I can jump 100%, and then go back to progressing the vert and working on it. And I think that sums it up. So, in conclusion, I think the technique is the foundation, and it takes a lot of patience to work on the details that you need to do. And the details are really important, and there's so many factors and details you really got to work on yourself. And that's the hardest part, is finding out what works for you, but also figure out what you need. There's answers to everything, and it's hard because there's a lot of low days, and today I'm struggling. I finally figured out, because I thought about it for so long, but it takes a lot of brain power to figure out what you need. And for example, I know I need to work on my technique and get my confidence back up, so I really got to do that. But it's frustrating because I want to just lift heavy because I was in a good routine, but that can't be my priority right now, because I need to get this knee better and then my jumping confidence up first. So find your details that you need, whatever you're trying to work on, and you got to do the little things. I kind of forgot about that, so I'll hit on it real quick. Maybe not real quick, but the little things are really important because they add up. And for example, me, I've been I wasn't doing hand speed for a long time just because I forgot about it and I was focusing on other things. I wanted to get strong. But hand speed is so important. Use a medicine ball, do things like that. I'm focusing on my joint health, and I want to get flexible, and I want to do 1 foot stuff, and I always like neglected it because it would hurt my knee, but I'm really working on my knees and my pains and like little things that hurt, and trying to figure out every little detail of what jumps work, why certain jumps I'm flying, every little detail of my takeoff, my plants, my approach, everything. All the little details matter if you want to progress to the next level and get there. And like another one is like my hips. I want to get them flexible. They're feeling good. I'm trying to strengthen them now. They're really important. I've also been thinking that I think hips are like, my boy Riley hit me up. He said they're key, and when he said that, or like they're the secret, I'm basically thinking like it's actually really true, because like my hips have always been bad, and I feel like now they're at their healthiest and I'm jumping my best, and I feel like they're kind of the what's it called? The connection between like your upper body and your lower body. So obviously you want your legs to be strong, but I feel like the hips are kind of what keep everything working properly. If your hips are tight or not loose or not able to work properly, you're not going to be able to use your legs to propel yourself. It just connects everything. You just need to make sure everything's connected and everything's working, because if you have like very good, this is another example. If you're like really good off the vert, but you can't do your approach, figure out what your approach is, watch what you're doing maybe, and then you got to break it down, and it's hard to do too. That's the other thing about patience, is like when you want to fix your approach, sometimes you go to do it and you stutter step, and you're trying to fix that stutter step, and then you try to do it and you have like one good jump, whatever it is. It's just, these things are not easy either. So when you find these details, they're hard to work out, the kinks, but they're really important, and you'll definitely feel a lot better when you do it and you improve in all aspects. I think that's it for now. I hope I got to the bottom of it, but I just really wanted to get into the details, and that they matter a lot, and I'm working on them a lot, and it takes a long time to work on the details, but it'll allow you to have a good foundation, so that way you can keep making progress. But sometimes working on the details sucks because it's not fun. It's not like, for me, like working on my knee sucks, but I know that if it's healthy I can jump better. But it also, like, I feel like I can just suck it up and jump through it, and maybe I won't get hurt. But the point is like working on the details takes a long time. You don't really see progress like straight vert. That's the other thing, is you don't really see straight vert in the progress of the details. But by having the details worked out, you have like your technique could be better, and then in the long run you can have better jumps, better technique when it comes to jumping from different angles, better technique off like reverses, spins, or dribble dunks, whatever, and then you can make progress. If you don't work on the details, your progress is limited to like so many few things. So work on the details, do the unglamorous things, be patient. I know it sucks, and there's a lot of low days coming, but those are the people who make the progress, who don't get down and take a step back. I don't like taking a step back because it sounds like you're purposely going backwards, but I mean take a step back and really go to the root of the problem and fix that, even if it's like taking a week off and literally just working on your ankles or something and getting them strong. Like, I don't know, just it's annoying and it sucks, but it can be done. That's the thing, is you need to know that the details can be worked out, and you can get every aspect better. If you have knee problems, you can fix that. Go figure out what your knee problem is, find out the causes, find out or just analyze yourself what causes the knee pain. For me, my knee pain, it was like when I would stand on my right knee and kind of like lift my left leg up, and like kind of, if I'm standing straight up and kind of bend, as I'm like declining, then it starts to feel strange. So I'm trying to strengthen the opposite of that. So on my video, my story today, actually, you'll see me like sit with both legs, because like both legs, it takes the pressure off the one leg, and then stand up on one leg. So I forget if it's eccentric or concentric, but like basically I'm using two legs to go the way that hurts or feels strange, and then using my bad leg on the way up because it doesn't hurt, and I could try to strengthen that motion. So I'm just trying to like counteract it, if that makes sense. But just push yourself and go. Like my other knee that was really painful, another thing I would do is like, it would hurt to like push off of it. So I would do like an angle that was like didn't hurt. Like if I do a full push off, like my leg is fully bent and I push off of it, it would hurt. But if I did like 50% of a bend and then push off it, maybe it hurt less. So I would do even less than that, like 30%, and just like try to strengthen like the 30% bent of the leg. That makes sense. And then just gradually increase, and it's like stretch and strengthen, stretch and strengthen. It's tough. It takes a long time, but that's why people progress. That's why I'm making progress, not to brag, but I feel like I'm really making progress, and I'm going to make progress, and my dribble dunks feel great, and I'm able to continue to push my limits and things like that, and my body's feeling the best it's ever felt. So you got to be in it for the long haul. You can't want gains right away. I mean, obviously you do, and it's frustrating, but if you really want to get there, you can get there, is the point. Details, patience, technique, and that's what you can do. You can change everything. You just have to work on it, and there's a way to work on it. And you need to think. You need to constantly get into your analysis, constantly be analyzing your body. When you wake up, how do you feel? Is it sore? Did you work out hard yesterday? Did you jump a lot? Are you sore? If you go to the gym and you try to jump, do your legs feel strong? Do you feel you have a lot more jumps in you? Are you sore where you should just do mobility work to recover and then go hard the next time? Things like that. But take note of your body, take note of the details, and work on everything. So that way, over time, everything's getting better. Because if you're just working on one thing, just jumping, it's going to get better, but limitedly, only one aspect. You want all aspects, because that's how you really grow. It's like a mountain. If you're picking one area and you're building straight up, it's going to be tall, but it's going to it could fall over at any moment, and it's not going to be stable, and you might not be able to stay at that peak for long. Not that saying that you might be able to. That's not a great analogy, but the point is, it's like anything can knock it over, and it's really hard to keep building up one area. But if you have a wide foundation, it's a lot more steady, stable, and you can keep growing. If you keep growing outwards and upwards. Deep. All right, that's it. I'm going to cut it there. I talked in circles forever, but I think that's helpful. Shout out to the people that want the Dunk Life podcast back. This is still Dunk Life podcast, but it's just me. But also, I'll give updates like this once in a while, just because I think it's very important and insightful and helpful. Please, as always, if you like this, please give me a rating. I love to see that. It's really helpful for me, because it just really helps me out, and it's a very easy thing to do. I don't really need anything else, but I love all the feedback I'm getting on my YouTube. I'm loving all the feedback I get from everybody. I try to respond to every single one, and I really appreciate it, because it makes me want to do this more, because I know it's helping, and I know I wish I had it when I was learning to dunk and things like that. So always glad to help. Happy New Year if I don't talk to you tomorrow. And Selly Pod, we out. Takeoff season.